Hello everybody. Sorry for just for just discontinuing it uh, suddenly. So let's continue. So there were angry women and they stormed into the shops and they were agitated crowd and they destroyed the Bastille as we have already discussed in the previous video of the Bastille, storming of Bastille. After this, in the countryside, there were rumors that the lord of the manor or the people who owned the land had hired people to destroy their ripe crops. Now the people were in a state of panic and they attacked they whatever arms and ammunition they could find. They just took it and attacked the Chettox. The Chettox was a place or the castle which belonged to the king or a nobleman. They looted the grain which was exploited from them. They burnt down the documents which contained uh, their debt records, and because of this, many people just fled from the country. Many nobles fled from the country. Now at this time, we should. There's a question for this answer. Why did the peasants attack the manor? What did they do? Finally, because of all this, Louis XVI finally recorded the recognition of the National Assembly and accepted that a constitution would be made which would keep a check on his powers. On the night of 4th August, the Assembly passed a decree which abolished the feudal system and taxes. Now, tithes would not be paid to the church and the land of the church was confiscated. Now, because of the confiscation, the government, it actually did good to the government because the government got assets worth of at least 2 billion livres. France becomes a constitutional monarch. The National Assembly completed the draft of the constitution in 1791. The main objective of this constitution was to limit the powers of the monarch. Instead of the powers being in the hand of only one person, instead of the power being concentrated in the hands of one person, it would be divided in executive, judiciary, and legislature. Now, this figure 7 shows or explain how this political system worked under the constitution. You can go through it. Now, an important paragraph comes. However, the voting rights were not equal. Only men of 25 years and above could pay, and they had to belong to the highest bracket of taxpayers. So there was discrimination on the basis of wealth or economic condition. However, the constitution also started with the declaration of the human rights of man. The most important right was the right to life, freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, equality before law. All these were the basic laws or the basic rights which were given to a human by birth. Now, one important thing is please observe this picture. This is a very important picture where there will you might see many political symbols like the eye within the triangle, the blue, white, red lady, the winged lady, a bundle of rods, the red cap, the broken chain, etc. Now these are the meaning of all the political symbols: broken chain, bundle of rods, eye within the triangle, scepter, snake biting its tail to form a ring, the red cap, the blue, white, red, winged woman, the law of tablet, the law tablet. Now the important subdivision is France abolishes monarchy and becomes a republic. Now, because of the revolt, the people of the rulers of the neighboring countries were also worried. Why? Why were the people of the neighboring countries worried because there was a chance that the people of their country would take inspiration from the people of France and also make the same thing happen in their country. So the rulers of Prussia and Austria decided to help France. But before this could happen, the people of the National Assembly voted and declared war against Prussia and Austria. This war, this war brought losses and economic difficulties to the people. Because the men were away fighting, the women had to cope up with the task of earning a living and looking after the families. So, because of this, political clubs had become a very important area for making get-togethers and discussing about plans to form action against the government. There were many political clubs, but one of the most famous and popular club was Jacobins Club. Now, the member of the Jacobin Club were not very rich people. They were the very poor people, or the lesser than the middle class, or and most of them belonged to the third estate. Some people were small shopkeepers, artisans such as shoemakers, pastry cooks, bakers, watchmakers, printers, servants, and daily wage workers. The leader of the Jacobin group was Maximilian Robespierre. Now, to be able to set themselves apart from the fashionable section of the society, the Jacobins decided to wear long striped trousers, which was different from the nobles who wore knee breeches. They also wore the red cap, which symbolized liberty and freedom. Because the Jacobins did not wear knee breeches, they came to know as sans-culottes, literally meaning in French, those without knee breeches. Now, in summer of 1792, the Jacobins planned an attack on the palace of the king. Because of the large number of people who were angered by short supplied exploitation of grains, hoarding of grains, selling at high prices of food, and high price of bread, which was a staple diet. So the people marched into the palace, killed the king's guards, and captured the king and held the king himself as a hostage for several hours. Later, the king and the royal family allowed the elections to be held, and from now, all men about 21 years, regardless of their wealth and economic condition, could vote. But women were still not allowed to vote. This newly elected assembly was known as convection, and monarchy was totally abolished, and France was declared republic, and Louis XVI was sentenced to death on charge of treason, which was betraying one's own country. His wife, Queen Mary Antoinette, also met with the same fate and was executed shortly later. The Reign of Terror. This is a very important. Paragraph, or a very important place. After the death of Louis XVI, Jacobins came into power. Maximilian Robespierre followed a very severe followed a very bad, or you can say bad, a very cruel policy of severe control and punishment. All he saw who were his enemies or who opposed him, or even people in his own political club who thought against him, were arrested, imprisoned, and then guillotined. Now, what is a guillotine? The guillotine is a device of two parallel poles and a blade which is dropped on a person's head and he is beheaded. It is named after Dr. Guillotine, who invented it. Now, to assert the change, Robespierre's government issued laws that there would be a maximum price on wheat, meat, and bread. The wages would be uniform, and even the prices would be uniform. The use of expensive flour was banned. All the citizens of the country, whether it be first estate, second estate, or third estate, were made to eat the same bread. Now, to practice equality, all these all these steps were taken. Instead of the traditional sir and madam, all French and women were henceforth called citoyen and citienne. This reign of terror was very anti-Christian period, where churches were shut down and the buildings were converted into barracks or officers. But Robespierre's policies were so relentlessly followed that even his supporters began to demand a little bit of moderation. Finally, he was convicted by a court and arrested, and on the next day sent to the guillotine. And he himself was the person who used the guillotine himself was executed by the guillotine. Serves him right, isn't it? Now, after the fall of the Jacobins government, a new constitution was introduced. If you see from the starting of this chapter to till here, how many constitutions have been formed, how many councils have been formed, but none of them have been able to, be balanced and rule the country properly. Now, another council was formed. It was known as the Directory, which was an executive made up of 5 members. This was done to safeguard against the concentration of power, which was done in the case of Maximilien Robespierre, who concentrated the power all in his hands. It was like kind of a dictatorship. So to not do the same thing, to learn from the mistakes, they made a directory which had 5 members. But the member of the directory were often fighting against themselves, which led to a military dictator, Napoleon Bonaparte. You might have heard of his name. Now we are coming to the end of this chapter. Through all the changes, all the revolts, all the struggle, it eventually led to a revolution. But again, the military dictator Napoleon came. Again, the same thing which happened in the period of Louis XVI happened. But this also led for some inspiration of the people in the rest of Europe. Not only in the people of not only for the people of the neighboring countries of Europe, but also in the far lands of India. There were people of the educated class who learnt about the Russian Revolution, who learnt about the French Revolution, who learnt about many revolutions, about the American Revolution, who learnt about the revolutions taking place, took inspiration and fought against the British. Thank you everybody. Thank you for viewing my video. Please like, please comment, please hit that subscribe button, and please share. I will be making more videos, and I have a very important and very good worksheet which will benefit you of the French Revolution. I will be putting the link below. Please see and benefit. And all those who have examinations coming up, best of luck. Please do well. Thank you.